The night you think your family is safe, but unseen forces gather. The night falls, and with it comes a silence that feels like relief, but your soul knows better. There are forces moving invisibly, pressing against the walls of your home, tightening chains around the minds of those you love. You sense it in the unease that rises when the lights go out, the heaviness in the chest that warns you something is wrong, though nothing is visible. Urgency courses through you. Every moment ignored is a moment the enemy gains more authority, more foothold, more power to steal peace, to destabilize hearts, to plant fear. Scarcity whispers the truth. Few understand the strategies to invoke protection before the darkness settles. Many go to bed thinking all is well, only to wake in spiritual battle. Psalm 91 is not just words, it is a weapon, a shield in action. Moses, a man who led people through dangers seen and unseen, knew that vigilance and reliance on God were essential, even when threats could not be measured. He understood that protection is not passive, that spiritual authority must be activated, and that faith spoken aloud can break invisible chains before they tighten. The night is deceptive, magnifying fear, hiding intentions, but God is present, ready to guard, ready to shield, ready to intervene. Tonight, you will witness the unseen. You will understand why your family is never truly unprotected, even when shadows stretch across the walls. You will feel the authority of God, ready to cover every heart, every mind, every corner of your home. You will realize that what appears as calm may conceal invisible threats waiting to move, but you also have the power to activate protection. As Moses demonstrated through faith and prayer, God's shield is not idle. It waits, it watches, and it responds to those who call upon him. Tonight is the turning point. The darkness will not control you. The fear will not dominate your family. The unseen will not remain unchecked, and God's authority will rise as your fortress. You are about to learn, to declare, to activate divine protection over what is most precious. You are about to see that vigilance, faith, and prayer transform night into sanctuary. Why invisible ties escalate at night. Night brings a stillness that the human eye perceives as peace, but the spirit knows differently. The chains that bind, the pressures that constrict, and the unseen attacks strengthen precisely when attention falters. During the day, distractions conceal the subtle manipulations of fear and anxiety. The mind engages with tasks, conversation, and routine, leaving little room to sense the invisible. But the moment darkness falls, these hidden forces stretch their influence, testing the vigilance of your heart, the faith of your spirit, and the peace of your home. Moses understood that the battlefield is not only physical, it is spiritual. Unseen enemies press silently against him, against the people he leads, and against every soul entrusted to his care. Psalm 91 illuminates this reality. Darkness is not neutral. It is a test, a trial, a space where the faithful must awaken to the hidden struggle. Scarcity magnifies urgency. Those who remain unaware or ignore these attacks allow the enemy to gain strength, embedding fear and tension deeper into the mind and home. Authority reveals truth. God does not allow pressure to crush without purpose. He demonstrates his power, his vigilance, his protection, and his sovereignty in the unseen realm. This is the hour where faith must awaken. This is the moment to recognize that what seems quiet may be far from dormant. The enemy prefers night because deception and fear flourish in the absence of attention. But God's watchful presence transcends visibility. Every heartbeat, every whispered prayer, every mindful declaration can activate divine protection, breaking the chains before they tighten fully. The unseen is active. The spiritual pressure is real, but so is God's authority. As Moses exemplified, vigilance, awareness, and spoken faith are the tools to counter these invisible attacks. Understanding this shifts the night from a period of vulnerability to a realm where faith declaration, and reliance on God establish protection. The enemy cannot dominate when recognition meets action, and Psalm 91 becomes not just a scripture to read, but a shield to claim. How fear hides as restlessness. When the night stretches long and the mind refuses to rest, the cause is often more than racing thoughts. Restlessness, anxiety, and tension are the masks that invisible attacks wear. What feels like random insomnia is frequently a spiritual alert, a subtle pressure designed to unsettle the soul and cloud the heart. Sleep refusal signals that the unseen forces are at work, moving silently, seeking to disturb peace and weaken faith. Moses, walking in the wilderness and leading the people, felt pressures that could not be seen by the human eye. He knew that danger is not always visible. Some threats strike in silence, targeting the mind, the emotions, and the spirit. Psalm 91 teaches that awareness and reliance on God's authority are crucial defenses. The faithful must understand that these quiet disturbances are not coincidences. They are strategic attempts to divert attention, sow fear, and undermine trust in God's protection. Curiosity triggers awareness. The unease you feel in the darkness is not without reason. It is a call to spiritual action, a prompt to claim God's promises, a reminder that vigilance and declaration are more powerful than ignorance or passivity. Scarcity amplifies urgency. The longer these subtle attacks go unnoticed, the more control they can gain, influencing your emotions, your decisions, and even the atmosphere around your home. But God's authority transcends visibility. Recognizing that restlessness is a signal, not the enemy itself, empowers the believer to act. Prayers spoken in faith, declarations of divine protection, and intentional awareness shift the night from a period of vulnerability to a realm of spiritual dominion. Fear is never neutral. It thrives in unawareness, but it loses its power when confronted with divine truth. Restlessness is a messenger, not a master. What seems like random tension, sleeplessness, or unease is actually a strategic attempt to steal peace, faith, and security. By aligning your spirit with God's protection, by speaking His authority aloud, and by claiming Psalm 91 as an active shield, the faithful transform the night into a sanctuary of safety. Moses' example illuminates the path. Awareness coupled with action activates God's shield, ensuring that restlessness cannot dominate the soul. When invisible forces strike silently, the night is deceptively calm, yet beneath the silence, unseen forces move with intent. Invisible attacks target the spirit and emotions, aiming not for physical confrontation, but for captivity of the soul. The moments when no one is watching are when fear and doubt creep in, subtle and relentless. These forces exploit quiet, unobserved hours to test trust, sow anxiety, and challenge faith. Moses, leading a people in the wilderness, faced threats that could not be seen or anticipated. He understood that true danger is often silent, and that faith must operate beyond what the eyes perceive. Psalm 91 assures believers that protection extends beyond what is visible. The invisible, the unnoticed, and the unrecognized are covered by divine authority. It is in these moments of stillness that vigilance is most needed. The pain-pleasure trigger becomes clear. Remain passive and let fear define your night, or recognize the attack and activate God's promise of protection. Authority is revealed in awareness. The enemy can only operate in shadows where consciousness sleeps. Recognizing that these forces are at work is the first act of spiritual defense. A believer's declaration of faith, their conscious engagement with God's promises, dismantles the silent oppression that would otherwise dominate unseen. Curiosity ignites empowerment. The subtle anxieties, the whispered doubts, the unexplained tension, these are signals, not absolutes. They are invitations to action, to stand under God's authority and claim His protection. Scarcity fuels urgency. Few act upon these signs, and the longer one ignores them, the more influence these forces accrue over mind, heart, and home. Moses' example illuminates the path. Even when the enemy is silent, faith must speak. Prayer, prophetic declaration, and intentional focus on God's presence transform the night from a battleground of fear to a sanctuary of peace. The enemy cannot ultimately win. It thrives only when believers remain unaware and passive. God's shield is active, even in the moments you cannot perceive it, and aligning with His power brings security that transcends the darkness. Declaring God's authority over your family. Breaking invisible chains requires more than silent hope. It demands intentional, verbal, and spiritual action. Psalm 91 emphasizes the power of speaking God's promises aloud, claiming His authority over every unseen force that seeks to oppress your family, home, and mind. Words aligned with faith become spiritual weapons, dismantling fear, doubt, and the subtle manipulations of the enemy. Moses, before facing visible or invisible threats, spoke with unwavering faith, declaring God's presence, power, and protection over those he led. His authority did not rely on what could be seen. It was rooted in recognition of God's supremacy over every shadow, every hidden danger, every attack that goes unnoticed by human eyes. In the same way, your spoken declarations activate divine coverage, even when circumstances seem silent or powerless. The first call to action emerges here. Write a prophetic phrase aloud, affirming God's protection over your family, your home, and your household. This is not symbolic, it is spiritual alignment, an act of faith that tangibly shifts authority from fear to divine guardianship. Scarcity underscores urgency. Few people understand the significance of invoking protection before nightfall, and the longer you wait, the more the enemy is allowed to maintain a foothold. Curiosity fuels action. What if the subtle tension, the restless sleep, the nagging anxiety is the enemy probing the defenses of your home? What if a simple act of declaration could shift the spiritual dynamics of your household, breaking the chains before they tighten further? Understanding that God's authority responds to intentional invocation creates empowerment. Passivity seeds ground, while spoken faith activates divine intervention. Plot twists unfold in every sentence. The enemy's efforts, silent and unseen, are not more powerful than the declarations you make in alignment with God. Your voice, coupled with faith, reverses attacks that may have already begun in the unseen realms, establishing a shield that cannot be penetrated by fear, worry, or darkness. Moses' example illuminates the principle. Those who engage actively with God's authority and faith are not merely defended, they are fortified. Authority, urgency, and scarcity converge. The moment you declare protection, the spiritual landscape shifts. Fear and oppression flee, peace and divine order settle over the household. Every whispered prayer, every spoken promise becomes a chain-breaking act, and the family rests securely under God's watchful care. The night, once a time of hidden assaults, becomes a sanctuary of divine protection, a visible proof of invisible power. Peace and security after breaking invisible chains. Peace and rest are not merely byproducts of physical tiredness, they are the fruit of spiritual alignment. Psalm 91 completes the journey. Awareness of unseen forces, declaration of God's authority, and activation of protection result in true security. Moses, after invoking divine defense over his people, rested confident that God's shield remained unbroken. In the same way, your obedience to call upon God's authority produces lasting peace for your mind, family, and home. The second call to action arises here. Like plus subscribe. This simple act not only supports the channel, but extends the word of God to others, helping more families access the spiritual protection they desperately need. The act of subscribing aligns your actions with God's mission, reinforcing the spiritual principle that obedience and participation amplify divine impact. Beyond engagement, the invitation to pray the Lord's Prayer seals this protection. It is a covenantal declaration invoking God's name to cover every corner of your home, every family member, and every vulnerable aspect of your life. Prayer transforms intention into divine action, aligning heaven with your household. Emotional impact resonates. The night, once a source of unseen pressure and anxiety, becomes a sanctuary where invisible chains no longer hold power. The tension, restlessness, and fear that may have plagued your mind and home dissipate as God's authority fills every space. What was once vulnerability is now fortified. What was once fear is now peace. Curiosity and reflection deepen the experience. Imagine the freedom of sleeping without dread, knowing that unseen forces are powerless against God's shield over your household. Each night becomes an opportunity to witness the tangible effects of divine protection, a visible sign of spiritual victory in unseen realms. The closing message is transformative. Tonight, invisible chains are broken. Your family, home, and mind rest fully under God's authority. You are not merely surviving the night, you are secure, shielded, and renewed.